Alright, so chapter 20 of Apocalypse of the Gods, we have round 1, match 5 officially starting. Before that though, make sure to subscribe if you haven't already, and check out my Record of Ragnarok chapter 114 breakdown if you missed that video. Also drop a like on this video so you're more likely to stay on this side of the Record of Ragnarok algorithm. Big shout out to the members that continue to support the channel, I appreciate all of you. Let's get into it. So a little bit of a shorter chapter, but it is pretty interesting, and it honestly did get me kind of hype for this fight. And we have a clear dynamic here of overwhelming favorite and big time underdog. We pick up kind of where we left off last chapter with Ku and Muramasa having an interaction where Ku literally says, look, not to be a dick, but a weakling god like you, you'd best get the hell out of here. If you don't, you'll die, you know? So he doesn't actually know who Muramasa is. And he's under the assumption he's just a spectator that got caught in the rubble, because don't forget, Ku had to pull him out of the rubble. Muramasa replies, that may indeed be the case. Ha, but you see, I have a dream I must fulfill. Ku says, what? And then all of a sudden, Yara gets on the loudspeaker and says, announcement. Management has an announcement for all fighters. Due to the overwhelming nature of the last match, the damage to the arena is beyond our initial expectations. And so unfortunately, the next match will take place at a temporary replacement arena. Kind of reminds me of Tenkaichi. Muramasa then reacts to this and says, it would seem I'm forced to now take my position. And Ku says, take your position? You're not saying. And Muramasa cuts him off and says, apologies. Let me introduce myself. I'm known as Muramasa. This guy has scars all over his body. He's already bandaged up. Looks like Ku when he was bandaged up, but this guy hasn't even fought anybody yet. Narration now says the next match, when discussed later, compared to all other matches of round 1, everything about it was peculiar. As opposed to in the previously destroyed arena, in the new arena, there were no spectators, only row after row of monitors. So in the place of where the people usually are seated, there's cameras that come up, individual ones. This is a pretty dope arena, I'm not gonna lie. Looks like a crater in the desert. The vast majority of gods watched from a safe remote distance. Only a select few of the strongest dared go to watch it with their own eyes. The usual suspects. I mean, they include Wukong's brothers, and they include the 4 gods that all got victimized by Indra, but you know, in the grand scheme of the verse, I guess they're all strong. You then see Yara standing on a pillar saying, thinking to herself, this is a huge pain for me to commentate on. A match with no spectators? Guess I'll have to make it work. She thinks further, no, regardless of the situation, livening up the audience is a mark of a broadcast professional. She then starts talking and says, all right, fighters, enter the arena. You see Muramasa emerge, bro. He's walking between these 2 broken pillars. This looks awesome. Shadows over his eyes. She says, this man, is he a god? Is he a spirit? Is he a hero, or is he a calamity? His true form is still unknown. True form is still unknown, man. That's gonna be cold, man. I'm gonna talk about this a little bit later. But he is not a myth, and they show a picture of a sword. In Midgard, his name is inscribed within the ever-feared legend of blood. The Tsukumogami Muramasa. Standing tall, he does have a sword of his own. Ku reacts to this, looks on, and says, that guy, he really is a fighter, huh? Ares, now talking to Zeus and Hermes, says, who is that young god? Tsukumogami Muramasa? I've never heard of him in all of Valhalla. Is he another outer god? Hermes then starts talking and says, in Japan, it's said that things like bowls and plates, once they reach near a century of use, they acquire a spirit or soul. They are called Tsukumogami. Compared to Japan's more famous high-level gods, frankly speaking, these Tsukumogamis are low level, and as a god, he boasts 0 accomplishments. That nameless young god, with him as an opponent, just how long can he last? That's what Ares, Zeus, and Hermes collectively think. Notably, when he mentions the high-level gods from Japan, you see Amaterasu, Izanagi, and Susanoo featured. Now, the interesting thing about this is, as I just explained, he seems to be an artifact or an object that has gained consciousness and spirit. He has a sword of his own, but if he is in fact a sword himself, that could be awesome if that's how, you know, he uses his ultimate abilities or something like that. There's so much potential for this. I really have high hopes for this guy. Yara now starts talking about his opponent, Ahura Mazda. And this guy, of course, has the whole two-face gimmick going on, with one side of his face looking extremely peaceful and the other side of his face looking straight up demonic. Can't wait to see what his abilities are, but the aura around him does look sinister. This man's existence, is it good? Is it evil? Is it light? Is it darkness? No, he is the divinity that transcends both good and evil. In that instant, this is the narrator talking, a wave of tension rushed through all the strongest gods gathered there. The combat that took place was to be considered a match, with the presupposition that the lethality would be directed solely at your opponent. But when faced with dangerous outer gods like Ra-Arakti the Unstoppable and Morgan the Unbelievable, or Ahura Mazda the Unbalanced, the safety of that presupposition was rendered meaningless. So this guy is supposedly a monster, has no regard for anybody else around him. He's a completely reckless monster. And this is the best panel of Ahura Mazda we've seen in the entire series. Looks awesome. In the Apocalypse, a tournament where violence is the only attribute given any weight, the inherent violence this god possesses makes him the top seed to win it all without even a whisper of objection. This is a dope statement. Not a top seed, the top seed. This man is the favorite to win this tournament. Now it's interesting to note that as this statement is made, they show Zeus and Hermes, seemingly indicating that they are among those who would not object to him being called the top seed. But this is weird considering back in Wukong's fight, Yara outright called Wukong the top seed on the loudspeaker for everyone to hear, and it seemed like Zeus agreed. He didn't outright say that or confirm that, but he did say in regards to Prometheus, his opponent is him after all. Now, of course, that leaves it up for interpretation, and maybe this kind of changes that metric. Maybe it just simply has to do with destructive capability for Ahura Mazda, or maybe it's just like the gods that are in the know would actually say Ahura Mazda is the favorite. We'll have to see. We'll have to see how credible these statements end up turning out to be. Yar continues, says, "I am no good, I am no evil, I am but a mass of violence and strength, the supreme creator god of Zoroastrianism, Ahura Mazda," which is like from ancient Persia. Looks cool. And Yara screams out, "Round 1, match 5, Tsukumagami Muramasa versus divinity who transcends good and evil, Ahura Mazda. Match begin." Ahura Mazda's walking straight up to him and Muramasa's got his sword drawn. The final editorial note says, "The difference in godly rank is obvious at first glance. Just what kind of match will this become?" I'm hype. I really didn't like Ahura Mazda's design early on. It was kind of like, is this guy going to be a jobber? But he looks really cool. This chapter, they stepped that up. His presentation's cool. I still do kind of think now that Muramasa's going to win just because it's going to be the ultimate upset. And nobody's expecting that. This guy's supposed to be a top seeded fighter. Muramasa's this guy that is portrayed pretty weak when we first see him, but he's going to shock the world and probably win this fight. Kind of reminiscent of what happened with Ku and Ra. Maybe we'll get some divergence from that, but that's my prediction right now. What do you guys think? Who do you want to win? And are you excited for match number 5? I'll see you guys all in the next video. Appreciate all the support. Peace.